guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite mermaid audiobooks. Just in case you missed it, I did an announcement video and a TBR video for Mermaid Marathon, which is my Mermaid, Siren, Ocean, Beach Read themed readathon, which will be running from June 28th through July 5th, so you can click the little cards up here and check it out. There's a bingo challenge, there are going to be giveaways and all kinds of things that we'll talk about at the end of this video. So I've been doing some mermaid themed videos this month, and I thought that one they haven't done that I thought might be good are some of my favorite audiobooks that involve mermaids. So I've listened to quite a few, and a lot of these I have physically read and listened to on audiobook, but I thought I'd just share the ones that I really enjoyed with you guys so that maybe you can add them to your TBR. So first up, we gotta talk about The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. If you guys haven't read this already, you need to. It's perfect for Mermaid Marathon because it's very short. It's like 2 hours on audiobook. And the origin story for The Little Mermaid, the actual fairy tale, is very different from the Disney version. It's much darker, it's much more intense, it gets a little weird, and I just thought it was nice and it made me appreciate The Little Mermaid even more. So I feel like this is a great one to start with if you haven't, and I found it on Hoopla. There's a couple different narrators, but the one I listened to was really good, and so I feel like they're all gonna kind of be that way. A middle grade series, this is the Emily Winsnap series. I believe there are only 4 audiobooks available at this current time, but there's like 8 books in the series. This is definitely middle grade, like chapter book style. But in audiobook, I found it super charming. The narrator has a wonderful English accent and she's just really great, and they're very short, so they're really good for readathons. If you don't mind a good middle grade story, then I highly recommend this one. It's about a younger girl that discovers that she's a mermaid and has mermaid lineage, and she has to go to mermaid school, and it's very cute. Then we have The Mermaid Sister by Carrie Ann Noble. I listened to this one last year for Mermaid Marathon, and this one was super unique and fun. It's about 2 sisters that were like found in the woods, and they have this like crazy older lady that's raised and take care of them, and she tells them this story about how they were found, and one of the girls was like found inside of a seashell as a baby, and when she hits her 16th year, some things start to happen and she starts to turn into a mermaid, and her sister and her are trying to figure out like what to do about it. And there's some circus aspects in here, there's romance, there's like a lot of fairy tale vibes, and it was really good. It was really well done, and I really enjoyed the narrator as well. Next up is the Water Song Quartet, but only Wake and the second book, because I don't know if they made audiobooks for the last 2, or at least I couldn't find them, so I'm physically reading the 3rd one right now. This one, the narrator is not my favorite, so I feel like you could kind of give or take listening or reading this one. These books I really enjoyed. I just love mermaid books and siren lore, and this has some Greek mythology in here, and siren mythology is about 2 sisters. One winds up kind of turning into a mermaid, and there's like these mean mermaids that go around and do different things, and it has a little bit more of a high schooly vibe, a little bit more of a catty vibe, but I still really liked it. And if you really love mermaids, I would still recommend the series. I feel like you could read or listen to these. The narrator was fine, I still enjoyed them, but she just wasn't like super amazing. Then is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning and Sea Witch Rising, which is the 2nd book. I loved this series. One of my favorite narrators does it. I can't remember if it's like Elizabeth Nolden or Billy Fulford Brown, but one of them is fabulous. And then in the 2nd one, it's 2 of my favorite narrators combined, and they like go back and forth doing different perspectives. So this is basically the backstory on Ursula. So you're not going to get a lot of like mermaid vibes and like ocean lore. It's mostly set on land, and it's got romance in it, and it's following like the life of our main character. I can't remember her name. And they discover this like mysterious girl from the sea, and there's like witchy magic and romance and princes. So it's not going to be super heavy on the mermaid aspect as far as like being like in the ocean and turning into mermaids and things like that. It's fully like a backstory, so mostly set on land, but it's really great, and I did really enjoy the 2nd one. I know a lot of people didn't, but that one was even more of like a Little Mermaid retelling, and I don't know, I just loved the characters and I thought it was really fun. Then we have the Lies Beneath trilogy. So I could only find the first one of this series on audio. So this is a little bit different because it is following a merman, or a merboy, if you will, and you're getting the perspective from him, and there's a male narrator. I thought that aspect made it worth a shot, but the series was a little bit slower for me and kind of dragged on, and the more books I read in the series, the less I liked it. So I kind of DNF'd the 3rd book in the series. But if you really love mermaids, I would still give this one a shot, especially because it's featuring like a male merman as the main character, and him and his sisters were like born into mermaids, and they can go into lakes and all kinds of things, and they do have really nice like cliffhanger-y endings as well. Then we have Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, as well as Into the Drowning Deep. Rolling in the Deep is the prequel, however I would read Into the Drowning Deep first. I don't know, that's what I did, and it worked out better for me because Rolling the Deep is very much a novella, and it is very much leaving things like unexplained and kind of open, and so I thought it was kind of a nice addition to Into the Drowning Deep. So this one is very different from all the other mermaid books. It's kind of like a scary mermaid. They're more like monsters, like sea creatures. They don't really talk or sing or anything like that. So basically this is about a group of like videographers that do all these like fake films for like kind of basically like the Discovery Channel, and they film like the Loch Ness Monster and they make it seem really realistic, and they go out into the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of the ocean, to film one about mermaids, and no one comes back, and they have this scary footage that does return to them of things happening. And so Imagine Inc., I think, or something like that, the company sends out another group of people to go and check it out like a few years later, but like scientists and hunters, and like gathers all these people together to go see what's really lurking in the deep, and it was fabulous. It was very scientific and a little bit long, but I ate it right up, and I thought it was really good. And the audiobook is really good, but I actually physically read it in like 2 or 3 days, and it's large. So the audiobook might be a great way to go too. Then we have the Lost Voices trilogy, which is one of my personal favorite trilogies, probably more for like nostalgic reasons. It was one of the first mermaid books and trilogies that I read. This one is a little bit different because of the way that the girls turn into mermaids. Like usually something tragic will happen to them, or they'll die in a certain way, and then they kind of become mermaids, and they have to join the other mermaid clans, and there's different clans all in the ocean. We follow our main character that kind of dives right into this and learns the mermaid hierarchy, and all the girls are kind of like snotty, and they want to sink ships because they're all had really tough lives, and so they basically decide that they hate humans, even though they used to be them, because of how they were treated in their past lives. And then our main character kind of has a little bit more of a moral compass eventually, and there's a little bit of a romance. It's not very heavy on the romance, and I actually didn't like the romance. It was like my least favorite part, and sometimes there can be a lot of cattiness and things in these, but I thought there were just so many interesting elements about it that I personally really enjoyed it. The narrator is not fantastic for these, so you could read or listen to them, but if you love audiobooks, then you can definitely try it. Then we have Mermaid by Carrie Ann Noble. This is a straight up Little Mermaid retelling. This is the closest to the Little Mermaid that I have read. Follows the original like Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid story almost to a T, with just a few twists in there. Carrie Ann Noble kind of does like a twist with her female characters and twists on the romance that I really like. And I really liked this one a lot. I thought the ending was really great too. Narrator for this one is fabulous. Then we have the Siren by Kira Cass, probably my most torn mermaid book. I love Kira Cass's writing style, and I really loved the romance in this book in particular, but there's this one thing where the ocean is the main character in this book, and she like talks to the mermaids and has them do things, and she's like their mom, and it is very weird. It was weird reading it. It was weird listening to it. I don't know. It was just very strange, but the rest of the book is really good. It's about girls that become mermaids, and they have to kill humans and sink ships for the ocean to like feed the ocean. And of course, 1 or 2 of the characters kind of morally questions this. There's a really nice romance in here. Kira Cass does the sweetest little romances, and there's some good girl friendships, and I really like the story overall. It's just that part with the ocean being a character is quite strange. And then we have Monsterous Beauty by Elizabeth Fama. This is one of my most read mermaid books. The audiobook is really good. I really liked the narrator. So our main character, I think, lives on an island. I can't exactly remember. She meets this like mysterious guy, and she winds up doing research on different myths and things in this area. All these kind of creepy, mysterious things are happening to her, but you're also following our other main character in the past. She's a mermaid, and she is like basically falling in love and getting married and having a kid, and you're kind of going back and forth between present time and then old time, but they're 2 different characters, and then they kind of interconnect. And so I really like that. This one's definitely got some darker themes. It's a tiny bit like spooky and creepy, but not over the top because it's still YA. But I really love this book. I've read it like 3 or 4 times. The first time I read it, I actually didn't know if I liked it because it was darker than I was anticipating, and I wasn't sure if I liked dark books then, but I kept thinking about it, so I reread it, and then I listened to it on audio twice, and it's one that I come back to almost every year, so I would highly recommend it. So those are some of my favorite mermaid audiobooks. Let me know if you guys know any good mermaid audiobooks down below in the comments. I have some queued up for Mermaid Marathon that I'm really excited to get to, and other physical books as well. I will link my mermaid playlist up here in the cards for you guys so you can check out all my other book recommendations and things like that. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl, because I'll be doing giveaways for mermaid books and mermaid bookmarks during Mermaid Marathon. I will also have daily challenges during the readathon, so stay tuned for that because I'm so excited about it. Let me know if you're participating in Mermaid Marathon down below as well. And I'll see you next time on The Bright Side. Bye!